Hello, I'm Kads, and welcome to today's video. So I'll address the elephant in the room first. Yes, I am once again under the weather with a slight cold here, so apologies in advance for any and all sniffles and whatnot throughout the video. But yeah, we are here to pull some shards. It is the super triple 2x going on here for the champion chase, coming to the coming near the end of the Pelops fusion. So we've got a 2x on ancients, voids, and sacreds. And my strategy for this one is actually going to be a little bit different than the normal standard min-maxing approach. So let's hop into the champion chase and I'll explain exactly what I mean. So in this instance, the rare for the fusion is at 3,500 points, a little bit higher than usual, but also you get credit for at least 2 of the fusion champions, fusion epics, so that's at least worth 500 points. And then we have some other resources that we can use as well to get some free points. But I would say the minimum target in this case would be the legendary tome at 4,500. That would be normally where I would go for. But in this case, I have my eye set on the mythical tome out here at 7,500, just because we could take advantage of the fact that there are multiple shards with boosted rates. So the going in plan is that we are going to pull 50 voids, at least up to 50 voids, and I'll come back to that in a second. And then however far that gets us, we'll do however many ancients it takes to get out to 7,500 points. So we're going to be pulling voids and ancients today. If we pop into the portal really quickly, we can take a look at the overall shard count, my count at the moment. 490 on the ancients, which we will be diving into today. 226 on the voids, which we'll also be diving into today. 35 on the primals, and then 54 on the sacreds. Now, the logic behind this kind of mixed combined decision is, of course, the 10x on Bayek here. Now, at this point, we're probably like a month away from the collaboration ending between Raid and Assassin's Creed. I've kind of lost all hope for a pure guaranteed Bayek event after they had the champion chase for him, which was basically a whale off to guarantee yourself the champion as opposed to just having an abundance of resources like myself. And so I'm willing to gamble a little bit towards the 10x to try and get him. Now, my strategy is kind of centered around Mercy. So if we pop up my Mercy tracker on the screen, which will be linked in the description box down below if you'd like a copy of this for yourself, you can see here that we're kind of in no man's land here in terms of voids. We're in the middle. We're about halfway towards the, air quotes, guaranteed void legendary at Mercy. And so the goal is to get closer, but not necessarily go all the way out there just because it's 2x void. So the odds of getting a void legendary are a bit higher. But also, it's the fact that this is a 10x, not a 15x, meaning that there is a higher chance to get Bayek if we get a Void Legendary at all. I think it's around a 10-11% chance. But of course, if it was a progressive chance, i.e. a 15x to start, then it would be closer to like a 15-ish% chance to get him, so it would just be higher odds. So essentially, if we get bad luck, we pull up to 50 Voids, we don't get a Void Legendary at all, we're that much closer to Mercy. And then if there happens to be a progressive chance event, which I do expect because they're going to want to offer up all these Legendaries, all the assassins, over the next coming weeks and whatnot, then we could pull the remainder, hit Mercy, and roll the dice again on a 15x for Bayek and just have 2 chances to get him versus just all in on the 1 here. Now, of course, there's also a 10x chance for Basim from the Ancient Shards, but I already have him, so I don't really care if he pops out. There's no way to avoid him, unfortunately. I wish I could kind of turn this one off. But even so, that's like a 4% chance out of a 10x that we get him if we get a Legendary from Ancients, which odds are not really in our favor for that. I guess we could double check with the Mercy tracker once again and just show that for Ancients, we're pretty far away from Mercy. So at that point, we're just at the mercy of RNGesus relative to getting a legendary from Ancient Shards and in general. So yeah, that's the going in plan and the logic behind it. But before we dive into the shards, of course, let's do some min-maxing. We've got to do a little bit. So we're going to fuse a couple copies, I should say, of the Fusion Epic to claim our free points. So this is worth 250 for the first one, and then it'll be worth another 250 for the second one, i.e. we get a free 500 points. I think we started off in the champion chase somewhere around 300-ish points. So that is a pretty decent start as well. So we're somewhere around 800 or so. So we're going to fuse that. I thought about also fusing Noljua as well because I still have her fragments and I'm kind of on the fence there. She could be useful because I am trying to push to finish out Dark Elves, the faction crypt. But since I plan to pull a decent amount of shards today in general, and that they're the ones I have the most of, I'm kind of tempted to kind of hold on to her for another couple of weeks, just because, you know, it's not like the Dark Hills Crypt is the last one I need to get Polara, so I think I can come back to her in the future, but that would be worth another 500 points, so I could do that. And then today I learned, or this week I learned, that you can actually delay the summon pool. So we've delayed the summon pool. It's finished up. I had the free one that we got from the shop in celebration of the 7th anniversary, but I also earned the second one, or the second air quotes free one, from the respective tournament. So let's see if we can get another legendary. Of course not. For those who don't know, I pulled up Vanalicia from the first Prism summon. So that was my first, or my third legendary I've gotten over the years from this particular system, and in this case we got another copy of Tagore, so we'll take it another 250 points. Sweet. So 750 points from air quotes free sources, and again, in the champion chase, that should have moved us to roughly 1,000-ish points, somewhere close to there. So in terms of voids, again, if I was min-maxing, we'd probably only have to pull, I think it hasn't updated yet, but we'd only have to pull around like 20 to 30 depending on RNG to get here. But in order to enact our strategy for just kind of hoping that we happen to get a legendary along the way, and it happens to be Bayek as well, we're just going to go up to 50 voids, kind of see what happens from there, see if we can proc the 2x early, and then we just kind of switch over to Ancients and finish it out towards the Mythical Tome. So in terms of who we're looking for, we'll start off just focusing on the voids for now. Of course, we're going to get, or I do expect to get some epics along the way, because there is a 2x in general. So Whisper Basher, copies of them for epics would be nice to have, just because they're well, not my most used. I do like Whisper a lot, but they're the ones, the void epics I want to empower the most. And then yeah, of course we're going to focus our RNG on Bayek if we do happen to get a void legendary. So without further ado, let's dive right in. We've got a ton of space, we've got tons of cash, and hopefully we can get some good luck today. We're looking for good luck, because we're going to need it to get the 11% chance, if we get a void legendary at all, for it to beat Bayek. I did have the pleasure of watching Nubraid's video, his recent shard pulls, and it was kind of funny for him that he managed to get a duplicate Bayek despite pulling on the Hecaton day. So that was an interesting result. So hopefully we don't have that happen to us. Another benefit, of course, is that we're pulling void, so there is a decent chance that we might get one of the fusion rares, although I've seen mixed results for other people, just because there's a lot more void rares in the game than people realize. So it's not guaranteed that we get them, but if we do, it'd be nice. I get to skip one of the final events here, and I get the fusion maybe a few days early or whatever. But yeah, we got two epics here, Lua and Uragrim. Uragrim's pretty decent. AoE Poisoner, he's like the epic battle Khazar without the full cleanse, but some poison, some healing, good champion, good for solo duo content. Lua, she's okay, triple hitter here, AoE, and she heals herself, but she's not that great, unfortunately. That was worth 1,100 points. We started off at 1,000, so we're at 2,000 points. But again, the minimum is 50, or the maximum, I should say, is 50 voids. So we pulled 10 so far. And if we get a legendary along the way, then we just stop. If we don't get a legendary, we go up to the 50. That is hence the maximum point. So next 10 pop here, lots of rares, but a couple of epics, actually 3 epics, not bad. I'm still keeping my eye out for the fusion rare, not from this one. Khafru, decent champion, kind of a tank, a mini Nekret going on here in terms of taunting and killable. He can attack and heal here, AoE attack and heal, and he can cleanse himself or cleanse debuffs. Slixus is a decent DPS, kind of like a Faction Wars-esque Curse City, restrictive content Lizardmen DPS. Baradol is unfortunately a pretty terrible champion, but he is annoying in like enemy waves because he does have the counterattack, so he just kind of wastes some time. 1,400 points, so we should be at 3,500. So right there, I think we will have passed the limit for the minimum required to get the rare, so that is good to know. We only needed 20 voids to get out there. We got a all blues, you hate to see it, 10 rares, and none of them are the fusion rare. So we should be somewhere around, I think, 4,000 at this point. We got 10 pops to go, 2 more chances to hopefully get a void legendary, and hope that it is Bayek, but of course that is not guaranteed in either regime, since we're in the middle of our shard pulls relative to Mercy. So we got another epic, Gala Longbraids, kind of like the epic Rotos, at least as some people like to call her that. Lots of or a couple of multi-hitters in her kit, lots of extra turns in her kit, potentially lots of ignored defense in her kit. She's a pretty decent sniper, single target DPS, but nothing crazy necessarily. And then the final 10 pop. This will be 50 voids pulled or 50 voids invested. Can we get a copy of any legendary? And it is Bayek. Oh, we got it. Wow, the perfect amount of shards that we needed to pull was 50 voids, right on the money, and we did proc the 10x. Sweet. Okay, man, I was super worried about getting Bayek, like I mentioned, after the champion chase, and having that be kind of a whale off as far as guaranteeing him. But we got it. We got lucky today, folks. Orange Jesus was thankfully on our side. So yes, Bayek is here on the account, and it's so interesting to say, because when I read his kit, I knew he was going to be super strong, and then the sentiment on him kind of waned a little bit, and then now that he's kind of like fully released into the game, a lot more people got him. He's definitely joining the meta just to alleviate critical hits by just placing or having more accuracy than your enemies. So as long as him and or your allies who get the benefit of increased accuracy, as we'll go through his kit in a little second here, you can't receive any crits. So the Empress Big Nuke doesn't do anything. The most, think of that annoying champion who always kills you in one shot. They can't do anything. Marius, triple hitter. Marius might be a bad example because he gives himself increased accuracy, so he could counter it depending upon how much accuracy you have built on your Marius. But it does counter basically any and all nukers who aren't built with accuracy, at least preventing them from getting crits, which basically an AoE Zibia servitude, more or less. But yeah, so Bayek here, increased accuracy on himself, perfect veil on everyone else, increased defense on everyone, and then he grants an extra turn. It's increased defense on himself for 3 turns, just to make it stay up the entire time. Extra turn, which on a 4-turn cooldown, but effectively a 3-turn cooldown because of the extra turn. And then he goes in with another AoE here, decrease accuracy, decrease res, and then so again reducing their likelihood that they're going to land any crits if you land both, or if you get the buff and then the debuff as well, and then you have a chance to place provoke on enemies for 1 turn. But if it's if the target is under 3 or more debuffs, i.e. more so important in boss encounters, if you could set that up properly, and he also obviously brings 2 debuffs for himself, then you get a 2-turn provoke instead, which is pretty stellar. So 3-turn cooldown on that one, and then an A1 here that can place a leech for 2 turns, and then he can fill his turn meter by 20%, so good for counterattacking as well. He also does have the standard assassin passive here, where if you drop low enough, you just get bonus damage, and it's proportional to his defense. So you do want to build him with a little bit of defense. I do have plans for him to build him at least in 6-piece protection. Ideally, the goal would be 9-piece protection. I think, he becomes a lot less effective if someone can just strip off increased accuracy, and then you're susceptible to crits once again. So I like to protect those buffs, but also you kind of get the benefit of building him faster. So that's kind of my going in plan for building him. But I've seen 9-piece Procurial, I've seen feral builds, I've seen various things. So I think it kind of depends on what you typically go against, and for me, I think protection would make the most sense. But I do plan to crit cap him with crit rate gloves and then put a little bit of damage on him. So he's not going to be like a primary nuker, but I'm treating him like a kind of like a damage Freya type of champion, where he can do a sneaky amount of damage with the increased defense and then his critical hits. Man, all right, I should get sick more often, guys. We brought the luck with the cold. I kid. But yeah, that's mission accomplished just in the nick of time. So 50 voids invested, and we procced the 10x. We got the 11% chance. Again, basically 1 in 10, 1 in 9 that he would be the one to pop out, and we just happened to get lucky today, so we'll definitely take it. No fusion rare, but who cares? Mission accomplished. A primary mission accomplished. Duplicate of Inquisitor Shemael, good for anti-fear, and then Ragnar, he's kind of meh, but he can be like your early game Demon Lord clan boss type of DPS. So let's check in on the champion chase. Of course, we got a new red dot. One of them is the fusion epic, one of them is Bayek, of course. And yeah, I definitely lost track of the count there with I was too shocked by the legendary, but we should be, oh wow, we're way out there. So 5,000 and something, 6,000 something. Yeah, 6,500. So we're barely gonna have to pull any ancient charge to get out to the 7,500. So okay, we got the best result. We got the relic materials as well. Not going to be pulling those in this video, but I probably will be pulling those later today during today's stream. For those who don't know, I do stream every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time. If you want to come hang out, you can definitely do so. But yeah, we'll be doing some fun stuff today. But okay, 1,000 points is all we need from our ancients, and so at this point I don't really care what happens. We can get some epics along the way for empowerment, and then if we do happen to get a legendary, my top 3 are Glaykad, Martyr and Freya. So although Freya might be no, she'd still be useful. What am I saying? Never mind. All right, let's dive in. Part 2, Ancient Shards. All we need is 1,000 points. Arguably, though, I could maybe it. Oh wow. Okay, we start off with the legendary, and we got Basim. Oh my goodness, we got a duplicate Basim. Okay, I was not expecting to get a legendary either from Ancients, but we'll take that. It's a duplicate for me. But wow, the 4% chance procced as well. Now I kind of wish that this was a 10x on Edward. That would have been super good. That we just we knock out 2 of the assassins, or my 2 remaining assassins are all off rip. But it's a shame. But nonetheless, we're not going to complain. It's good for the champion chase points. Really quickly, we'll just run through Basim's kit. He attacks one enemy 2 times here, can deal more damage based on the buffs and debuffs on the champion, on himself and the enemy. Places a perfect veil on himself and grants extra turn, which sets him up nicely for this AoE attack that can ignore some defense, more so if he's under a veil, which of course he will be after the A3. And then he can place block active skills, but the block active skills will ignore block debuffs if and when he's under a veil, which again he will be because you usually open up with the A2. Then A1 here, double hitter, places a weaken and can debuff spread assuming he's under a veil. He still has the assassin passive here with more damage proportional to his attack in this case, and then whenever he's attacked, he has a chance to steal a buff from the attacker, and this will the stealing of buffs will ignore polymorph debuff, so that can be kind of sneaky as well. So we'll take him. I guess long term will probably be empowerment, but short term this is going to be a faction guardian. But what I was trying to say before we got rudely, I'm just kidding. No, before we got surprised by the lovely legendary here is that at this point, because we were at 6,500 and now we're at probably 7,000. It could be worth going just for the 10k. That was not really my original plan, but we did happen to get a lot of Void Epics from the Void Shards on top of the Void Legendary, which is a ton of points as we just saw. So if we can get a decent string of Epics, it could make sense to just go for the Eternal Soulstone, just because I haven't really gone for an Eternal Soulstone in a while. And more importantly, we just reset Mercy here. I think we're 48 in, so 2x is kind of the best deal or best bang for the buck when you're low or fresh off of Mercy, especially after the first 10 pop. So change of plans. We're going all the way in, or going all in on the 10,000 points in the champion chase. As a reminder, we're somewhere around 7,000-ish points at the moment, so we need 3,000 points remaining from the rest of the shards. And yeah, I have tons of ancient shards, so I'm willing to kind of burn through these for a good cause. Now, I guess fortunately, if we do happen to get another legendary along the way, it cannot be Basim, just because you cannot get the same legendary back to back, for those of you who don't know. So we would be guaranteed to get anyone else but him, even though we proc the 10x here. But yeah, Haikatoon, kind of met champion. I actually have never taken her to 6 stars, but she's kind of like the epic apothecary. And then the other 2 epics, there's really not much to say there. But I guess honorable mention to Tomoe, who I think has AoE. No, that's Suren, who has AoE decreased defense. Never mind. Tomoe is not good. Never mind. Rescinded comment. And do we get an all blues? No, we get 1 epic, 2 epics. Okay, we kind of saved it there a little bit. I think last 10 pop, this 10 pop were collectively worth about 1,000-ish points. So that would bring us to 8,000, air quotes, somewhere around there. Pan the Bowhorn. I haven't built him personally, but I've heard he does a decent amount of damage if you build him. So as such, I think he also scales off of speed a little bit. Or maybe not. I thought his damage scaled off of speed, but maybe that's incorrect. But he hits decently hard. Lich can be okay. Single target turn meter reduction of 100% if you really need it. But I think you'd be better off with other epics to do that role, or legendaries and beyond who could also do that role. So 2,000-ish points remaining. 340, not going to do it. Jotun, absolute dog water epic. So let's keep it going. So 8,300. I think we're kind of lowballing on my estimate here with the mental math, but who cares? We'll see. We'll kind of correct ourselves near the end. Another epic here, Chonaru, who is like one of those promo code champions you get early on, but she is absolutely dog water as well, unfortunately. So 8,600, maybe round up to 8,700. So just over 1,000 to go. We're just okay. I was like, man, we're getting so close to the all blues, and then we just get a random epic near the end. Bruella, good epic for once. But triple hitter on the A1, good for Fire Knight. Triple hitter on the A2 with decreased defense, weaken, and decreased speed. She has a chance to place this on every single hit, and it's a 75% chance, meaning that it's practically guaranteed. It's like a 99 point something chance that she'll land at least one of the, or at least she'll land each of them. And then she also has a turn meter fill with increased crit rate on her A3. So good, solid champion, mainly used for Fire Knight in like restrictive content areas, Centranos and whatnot, but she could also be good in normal Fire Knight just because of those debuffs and the triple hitters. So that 9,000 and something. Legendary number 2, and it is Razelvarg. Okay, duplicate Razelvarg. Actually talked about him recently in my collaboration with SMZ, and I think I'm still kind of mid on this guy, but I've heard, you know, if you really take him to his full potential, the ceiling can get pretty high. But increased accuracy or increased speed, and then notably on his passive, for each increased speed that he places, he increases his speed up to 100, so he can get ridiculously fast, talking like 300, 400 plus speed effectively over the course of a longer battle. Speed or in all battles as well. And then AoE attack here that can place a leech and heal himself. And then triple hitter on the A1, once again good for Fire Knight and or restrictive content, but also good notably in Hydra, because he can place the leech, which is good. He can place some decently good buffs and also do a little bit of damage. So kind of a utility DPS who gets more damage because all of his skills are based on attack and speed. Maybe he's who I was thinking of when I was talking about Pan the Bohorn. But yeah, decent champion, 1,000 points there. So we should be, actually, let's double check just in case my math is a bit short. But I think we're probably going to be at like 9,700 maybe, or we might be at the 10K, which there's no reason to go above that. But Kaden, good Dark Elves Reviver if you do need him for that. Vildrax, okay champion with an AoE Hex who can extend buffs as well, I believe. Go away, Pax. We don't need you. We got plenty of shards. We got good results here. Yeah, we're there. Okay, cool. So hopefully we didn't overshoot by too much with my mental math there. No, yeah, we needed 300 points. We happened to get 1,000 because we got a second legendary. So be it. That's not the end of the world. But yeah, we got the mythical tome. We got the eternal soul stone. A rare instance of me ripping through so many shards, and we still have so many more to go. But that's the benefit of being prepared for just about anything. Now we're currently in 4th place. That's probably not going to hold, especially with this guy sitting like 50 points below me, but maybe he's done. Maybe he's done. We're definitely not going to push out. I mean, 30,000 is ridiculous, but we're definitely not going to fight hard to stay in the, you know, the upper bits of here. I wouldn't mind the Relentless, of course. I wouldn't mind the Relic Fragments either, but yeah, I'm not going to fight these guys. I will get more points naturally because, of course, there is champion training. I think it's a event going on right now, so we're going to get some credit for that. I will probably get a couple more of the fusion rares along the way. I have one here ready to go. We just got the one from the champion chase. We'll probably get one, we have to get one from Spider because that's ending today. We'll get one from Divers. So there is still a chance that before the end of tomorrow, Sunday night, at least for my time zone, we might be able to get infuse the 3rd epic and there get another 250 points to kind of buffer ourselves a little bit more towards that. And again, if I really decided to, I could also come back and fuse Noldua there for another 500 points just to kind of push and stay in the top 5. So we'll see. But yeah, that is going to do it for today's session, guys. What a day. What a day. Orange Jesus was absolutely with us today, more than I ever could have thought. So let's clear out the red dots here. We got the fusion epic. I actually do want a copy of him just because he is a reviver for the faction, but you know, also it's going to be, you know, 9 months to a year before the faction crypt opens, so I expect to get him another copy of him outside of the fusion long before that crypt is open. So I'm not too worried about that, but it is, you know, long-term planning. It would be nice to have him. But yeah, the victory of the day is our Bayek here. So super stoked on this. Cannot wait to bust him out on my account. I think he's going to help me a lot in terms of being able to deal with a lot of the meta comps nowadays, just being able to mitigate fully their ability to crit. So yeah, like I said, in my head, I want to build him as fast as possible in protection. So with kind of thinking like Lazarius thoughts minus the speed aura, of course, but he's built with crit. He's crit capped, but not maxed out on damage. And then he just goes super fast and enables us to, at the very least, place the increased accuracy. I don't really care necessarily about placing decreased accuracy because most opponents are probably going to be under Mercurial, Total Guard, or Stone Skin if we go first. So the main thing is just to get the buffs out there. That way we can't be crit in most cases. So that'll be exciting to see him. And then Sacred Order, I think Basim is there. So let's actually, that could be 10 out of 10 on the faction guardians for Sacred Order, and it actually is. So we can get rid of the Sir Nick, and we can throw in the 2 copies of Basim. So there we go. 4th faction for me, that for the legendaries to be 10 out of 10 in terms of the faction guardian legendary slots. Now that does make me curious. What 10 speed in Sacred Order, who all does that help? So I have a fast Rosh Guard the Tower and protection as well, so that could be good for him. I use him to counter the Ninja Turtles and, you know, block damage and bombs, etc. Alice, I guess it helps her a little bit. Glacea, that's good for her. I'll take the speed. Wixwell, a little bit faster. I don't use him the way other people might use him. Ezio, a little bit faster as well. Lady Noelle, that's a good one too. And Sir Nick. I don't use Sir Nick as much, but Ezio I do use. He surprised me in terms of his damage, so that's good for him. Lady Noelle is pretty big for her because she's a really, really solid support. So lots of good champions there that are getting the benefit of 10 extra speed. But yeah, massive success for the day. And that is going to do it for this video. Let me know in the comment section down below what you got from your shards, assuming you pulled this weekend. It's a great time to pull, of course, particularly for the Ancients and the Voids, depending upon your goals. Hopefully, if you were going for one of the 10x champions, you also happen to get lucky with your shards as well. But yeah, let me know what you got in the comment section down below. As always, if you did enjoy this video, then be sure to hit the like button down below. It really does help out the channel. And feel free to hit the subscribe button down below as well, if and only if you're enjoying the content overall on the channel, for more content just like this one in the future. Thanks for watching and have a good one.